Welcome to this class. Today I am going to continue the chapter Materials Used in Agriculture of class 9 and the subject is Science and Technology. It is taken in the unit number 19 and today we are going to focus on chemical fertilizer. But before the chemical fertilizer, at least we must have clear idea about the fertilizer and its type. That's why I want to start with the fertilizer. Let's recall the fertilizer. It was done in previous class also. What is fertilizer? We can say that the substances which are used to increase the fertility of soil for the good growth of plant are called fertilizer. It is divided into two types. One is called organic fertilizer, another is called chemical fertilizer, and chemical fertilizer is also called inorganic fertilizer. Now, let's talk about organic fertilizer. What is it? Fertilizer made by the action of bacteria and fungi over the animal waste and plant buried into the ground is called organic fertilizer. Actually, this fertilizer is made by the waste of animal and residue of the plant by the action of bacteria and fungi on this waste. Okay, now this is also divided into different types. One, we can say compost fertilizer, which is widely used in the rural area, and another is green fertilizer. But these are also organic fertilizer which we use in the field. Powder of mustard cake, which is called pina. Pina is also used as fertilizer, organic fertilizer. Bone meal, powdered bone of animal can also be used, which is very good source of phosphorus and calcium. Ash can also be used as organic fertilizer because it supplies phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, etc. But we are focused on compost fertilizer and green fertilizer according to our syllabus. This is compost fertilizer which is made by the agricultural waste and animal dung. It is buried into the ground and converted to compost fertilizer. We can say this way, it is a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of animal waste like animal dung, human waste and plant residue which supplies plant nutrients and humus to the soil. Now, green fertilizer. These plants, asuro, pati, gaza, khirro, etc. can be buried into the soil. They decompose very quickly within few days and they are called green fertilizer. Fertilizer obtained by the decomposition of green plants in the soil of the field is called green fertilizer. Now, let's talk about the chemical fertilizer. Chemical fertilizer are actually the salt or organic compound which are directly used in the field. This is a salt or an organic compound containing necessary plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus or potassium is called chemical fertilizer which is used to make the soil more fertile. After all these understanding, now we are able to distinguish and differentiate the organic fertilizer and chemical fertilizer. I want to differentiate organic fertilizer and chemical fertilizer in different points. Look at this. Organic fertilizer, which is called compost fertilizer also, mainly compost fertilizer is used as organic fertilizer. We can define them and one of the difference may be their definition. It is a natural substance obtained by the decomposition of animal waste like cow dung and plant residue. But chemical fertilizer, its definition, we can show its definition. This is the appearance of compost fertilizer or organic fertilizer. Now let's talk about the chemical fertilizer. A chemical fertilizer is a salt or organic compound which looks like this. It is available in packet, I mean to say maybe of 20 kilogram of certain chemical fertilizer in a sack. It comes in the compact form. This is urea, one of the appearance of one of the chemical fertilizer. Compost fertilizer can be defined this way and chemical fertilizer can be defined this way. Definition may be one of the difference between them. Now next is it is not so rich in essential plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, but This chemical fertilizer, it is rich in essential plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Some of the chemical fertilizer supplies nitrogen. They are designed in such a way that they have to supply nitrogen to the soil, and that is called nitrogenous fertilizer. Some of the chemical fertilizer are designed or made or manufactured to supply just the phosphorus to the soil, and they are called phosphorus fertilizer. In the same way, there is potassium fertilizer also. But compost fertilizer is not rich in particular macro elements required for the plant. It contains all the macro and micro elements in reasonable amount only, not in the concentrated amount. Third difference, it provides organic matter like humus to the soil, but chemical fertilizer doesn't provide humus to the soil. This humus is actually decomposed organic matter, and this humus is very necessary for the good growth of plant, and chemical fertilizer doesn't supply humus to the soil. Now next is it is not so soluble in water, so absorbed slowly by the plants. It takes 15 days or 1 month for the absorption of this compost fertilizer or organic fertilizer. But chemical fertilizer, it is soluble in water, so readily absorbed by the plants. Result can be seen within 1 or 2 days, because water soluble chemical fertilizer is absorbed by the plant at once, and result can be seen within few days. Okay, there are other differences also. Compost fertilizer or organic fertilizer, we can say this way: it removes the general deficiency of soil, but not the nutrient specific. What it means? Not particular nutrient specific. We cannot say that this compost fertilizer supplies nitrogen, this compost fertilizer supplies phosphorus. Not the specific nutrient is supplied by the compost fertilizer. This is just the general deficiency can be fulfilled. But chemical fertilizer, it is nutrient specific and provides particular nutrient, either nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium, as desired by the farmer. But there are some fertilizer which is mixed fertilizer, which is called mixed fertilizer. Just for example, NPK fertilizer. NPK fertilizer contains all these three major nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Okay, another difference we can say, it is voluminous. Voluminous means it is available in good volume. Its size is more. I mean to say, it's voluminous. So it is inconvenient to store. Where to store it? Because we have a lot of field and we have to store this compost fertilizer. If we have to store compost fertilizer for very huge area, then 2 or 3 rooms is necessary for the storage, and that's why. So it is inconvenient to store, and it is inconvenient to transport, and it is inconvenient to apply also. But on the other hand, it is compact. Which one is compact? Chemical fertilizer. It is just the salt, it is just the compound, and it is compact and concentrated, so it is easy to store. Just one full sack containing 20 kilogram can be stored easily, and it can be easily stored, and it can be transported easily, and it can be applied in the field easily with just scattering these salts in the field. It's easy to use also. This is another difference. It is prepared in rural fields. It is prepared in rural fields. It is buried into the ground and is prepared, but chemical fertilizer are prepared in factories. These are the basic differences between the compost fertilizer and chemical fertilizer, or we can say organic fertilizer and chemical fertilizer. Now it's time to talk about 3 major nutrients, macronutrients, which are very, very essential for the good growth of plant. And maybe this nutrient, one of these, may be lacking in the soil sometimes. Another may be lacking in the soil. That's why in the agricultural process, 3 major nutrients are highlighted. What are they? Nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Nitrogen is very, very essential in making protein. But phosphorus is very essential for the good growth of root, for the healthy root of the plant. And potassium is very essential for the immunity of the plant. And that's why these three are the macro elements which are focused in agricultural process. If one of them is lacking, we have to use one kind of fertilizer. If another is lacking, another kind of fertilizer should be used. And they are actually chemical fertilizer. Now I want to highlight each of them. First, the importance of this element and what will happen if we have deficiency of this element. First, I want to tell you about importance and the effect of deficiency and how do we supply this particular element by which chemical fertilizer. 3 points, one by one. Look at this. Importance of nitrogen in plant. What is the importance? First, we can say it is essential to manufacture protein, protoplasm, chlorophyll, etc. in plant. All these requires nitrogen because all these are nitrogenous compound, whether it is protein or protoplasm or chlorophyll. They are nitrogenous compound. And second importance, nitrogenous salt increases the rate of growth of plant. To grow the plant faster, we need nitrogen in the soil, and that's why nitrogenous salt increases the rate of growth of plant. This nitrogen is supplied in the form of salt in the soil. Now third importance, it stores the excess of protein and synthesizes lot of chlorophyll. Storage of protein and synthesis of the chlorophyll is possible only because of the excess of supply of nitrogen. Excess means the required amount of supply of nitrogen. This is the importance of nitrogen. But what happens? I mean to say, what effects are seen if there is deficiency of nitrogen in plant? The effects of deficiency of nitrogen. Number one, growth of plant stops and decreases the production of crops. If nitrogen is less in the soil, then the growth will stop. Plant won't grow faster and decreases the production of crops. It means instead of getting lot of crops, we will have less amount of crop, and this is the failure of agriculture. That's why nitrogen should be in adequate amount. Now next, leaves of plant become yellow. This is the identification of deficiency of nitrogen. If you see somewhere this type of leaf in your field, then you have to understand very clearly that this is because of the lack of nitrogen. I mean to say, nitrogen deficiency makes the leaf of plant yellow. Another, flowers cannot bloom properly. The another effect is fruits and seeds become small. It had to be a well-developed seed. I mean to say, we are expecting well-developed seed. Instead of that, development of seed is if very less, then this is not the proper agriculture. That's why this can be obtained by the use of nitrogen, by the supplement of nitrogen in the soil. Okay, if we have deficiency of nitrogen in the soil, because of that reason plants are not growing properly, then we can supply nitrogen to the soil by chemical fertilizer that is called nitrogenous fertilizer. There are three major nitrogenous fertilizers. There are other also, but I want to highlight three. Ammonium sulfate, and it comes in the sack like this. It appears like this. This is white crystalline solid substance. And ammonium nitrate, another nitrogenous fertilizer. We have to remember this: ammonium sulfate, ammonium nitrate, and ammonium nitrate appears like this. Look at this very nicely. We can see ammonium nitrate appears this way. And another is urea. Urea also appears white in color, maybe another color also, but this is the appearance. Appearance doesn't make any big difference, but we have to remember their name. ammonium sulfate, ammonium nitrate and urea. These are used as nitrogenous fertilizer if there is deficiency of nitrogen in the field. Now we are talking about the chemistry, and that's why this compound has certain molecular formula. I want to write the molecular formula also. You have to remember the molecular formula of this nitrogenous fertilizer. Ammonium sulfate, look at this. Ammonium is a radical, its formula is NH4. Sulfate is another radical, its formula is SO4. Ammonium its valency is 1, sulfate valency is 2. We have to exchange the valency. Valency of ammonium is 1. We don't have to exchange one valency to sulfate because sulfate itself is 1. But valency of sulfate is 2. We have to exchange this valency of sulfate to the ammonium, but while exchanging valency to the radical, we have to put that radical in bracket this way. We have to put the radical in bracket and then we have to exchange the valency this way. Ammonium sulfate, NH4 whole 2 SO4. Now another is ammonium nitrate. Ammonium, its formula is NH4. An element is represented by the symbol, but radical is represented by the formula. This is the formula for ammonium. You are taught in previous class. Ammonium, now nitrate, this is also radical. NH4NO3. Ammonium valency 1, nitrate valency 1. Equal valency, no exchange. We know about this. But looking at the name urea, we cannot understand what element or what radical is involved in this urea. We have to remember its molecular formula directly. We can write this way. Its molecular formula is NH2 whole 2 CO. This is the molecular formula of urea. Ammonium sulfate, ammonium nitrate, and this is urea. Now I want to go through another element. I told you about nitrogen, why it is important, and what will be the effect of deficiency of nitrogen, and what chemical fertilizer should be used to remove this deficiency or supply this nitrogen. Now it's turn of the phosphorus. We have to talk about the phosphorus. Now look at this. Importance of phosphorus in plant. What is the importance? First, let's go through importance. Number 1, it is essential for good growth of root. I told you about this. Phosphorus is actually concerned with root, and it helps in the ripening of fruits and good growth of grains of crops. These fruits won't ripen properly. It takes very long time for the ripening because of the deficiency of phosphorus. That's why phosphorus is needed for the timely ripening of the fruits, and good growth of grains is obtained with the help of phosphorus. Now next is, it is also essential to manufacture protein in the process of cell division. Actually protein is manufactured by the help of nitrogen, but in the process this phosphorus also helps. That's why it is also essential to manufacture protein in the process of cell division and for the growth of leaves and embryo. These are the importance of phosphorus. Now what will happen if phosphorus is not present in the soil, or there is deficiency of phosphorus in the soil? Now what happens? Effect of deficiency of phosphorus. This can happen. Root of plant do not grow properly. The strength of root won't be proper and it cannot absorb nutrients from the soil. Next is, cell division in plant becomes slow and the plant becomes thinner, unhealthy. And next is, seed wrinkles and won't be matured. And next, high deficiency makes the immune system weaker. Immunity will be weaker. Actually, high deficiency reduces the immunity. Immunity is related to the potassium, but if there is high deficiency of phosphorus, that also decreases the immunity. Now I want to show some picture. Look at this. In each of the picture, the deficiency of phosphorus is shown here. In first picture, we have two different types of corn, the same corn. Here it is very weak because its root is very weak. Here it is well grown. Here this corn plant have deficiency of phosphorus, but these corn plants have no deficiency of phosphorus. This is the difference. Difference is shown here. Because of the deficiency of phosphorus, these plants, these two, are grown very immaturely, and this is matured and healthy plant. And look at this another one, the radish. These two plants, there is no any storage of food substance in at the lower side, but here it is well grown. It means these are deficient with phosphorus, and these do not have deficiency of phosphorus. Here also cereal, rye plants is shown here, and because of the deficiency of phosphorus, these plants are not grown properly, but because of no deficiency of phosphorus, it is grown very nicely to certain healthy height. Now here we have grapes, geranium, tomato, corn, and in all of them it is red, somewhat reddish in color, and they are somewhat purplish in also purplish in color. This color change is due to the deficiency of phosphorus, and they say this growth is not acceptable, and this is all about the deficiency of phosphorus in plant. These are some examples. Okay, now how do we supply phosphorus to the plant? By using chemical fertilizer. What are these chemical fertilizer which supplies phosphorus? Phosphorus fertilizer. There are many, but few of them which are very important and largely used in field. First, ammonium phosphate. Its molecular formula, looking at this, we can write its molecular formula also. Ammonium is NH4, phosphate is PO4, and ammonium valency 1, which we don't have to transfer to phosphate, but phosphate is valency is 3. It is exchanged to this ammonium, NH4 whole 3 PO4. This ammonium phosphate appears like this. This is the appearance of ammonium phosphate. Now let's go to another one. This is another phosphorus fertilizer, calcium superphosphate. Looking at this name, we cannot understand what element it contains and which radical is present over there. That cannot be understood. That's why we have to remember its molecular formula directly. Calcium superphosphate, CaS2PO4 whole 2 dot 2 calcium sulfate, CaSO4. Two molecule of calcium sulfate is attached with this compound, and this is called calcium superphosphate, and it appears like this. This is the calcium superphosphate. Now another one, it is called triple superphosphate, and its molecular formula, looking at this name, you cannot understand what to write, and that's why we have to remember this. 3CaS2PO4 whole 2. This formula represents triple superphosphate. And these are the chemical fertilizer which are normally used to supply phosphorus in the field. And this triple superphosphate appears like this. Now, I want to talk about the potassium. First, importance and what happens if there is deficiency of potassium, and which chemical substance or fertilizer is used to suit this problem. What is potassium? Importance of potassium, we can say this way. It helps to strengthen root and stem of plant and enhances immune power. The major point is it enhances the immune power. Which one? Potassium. So another importance, it helps in the growth and development of flower. If there is a deficiency of potassium, then growth and development of flower wouldn't be proper. Next is it helps in the formation of food like protein, starch, etc. This is just the help. The major synthesis of protein takes place because of the nitrogen. These are the importance of potassium in plant. Now what happens if potassium is deficient? I mean to say effect of deficiency of potassium. What can happen? It decreases the formation of food substance like protein, starch, etc., and the plant won't be healthy. Another point, the deficiency of potassium adversely affects the cell division and manufacturing of protein in plant. And another effect is the deficiency of potassium causes withering of leaves. Leaves may fall down and embryo also may fall down, withering of leaves and embryo, and reduces the immunity power of plant. And here I am showing some picture which shows the deficiency of potassium in different plants. This eggplant, this is banana, this is soybean, corn and this hairy veg and maple and piggyback plant and alfalfa. These are the plants here shown, they have deficiency of potassium. Look at this, the corn plant is very small because of the deficiency of this potassium. Looking at this banana is recognized by each and everyone. I think you have seen banana tree. The leaves are leaning down, and this corn plant is very small. In the same way, there are defect in other also. You can see the spots on this leaf also. Here some spots are seen. Here the edge of the leaf is somewhat yellowish or some other color. This is improper growth of these plants because of the deficiency of potassium. Now, how to supply potassium to these plants? The major method is what? Chemical fertilizer. And they are called potassium fertilizer. The fertilizer which supplies potassium to the soil is called potassium fertilizer. And what are they? Potassium chloride, potassium sulfate, potassium nitrate, potassium carbonate. These are the fertilizer which can be used in the field to supply potassium. I want to write the molecular formula of each of them. You must have clear idea about their molecular formula also. Look at this. Potassium chloride. Potassium is K. The symbol for potassium is K. Chloride means chlorine is combined. Valency of potassium is 1. Chlorine is 1. Equal valency, no exchange. This is the molecular formula of potassium chloride. Now, potassium sulfate. Potassium symbol is K. Sulfate, its formula is SO4. This is radical. That's why I'm talking about formula, symbol, formula. And potassium is valency is 1, but sulfate is valency is 2. That's why one valency of potassium we don't have to transfer because sulfate itself is 1. But sulfate its valency is 2, should be transferred to potassium K2SO4. Third is potassium nitrate. Potassium is symbol is K. Nitrate is formula is NO3. Potassium is valency is 1. Nitrate is valency is 1. Equal valency, no exchange. Now another is potassium carbonate. Potassium symbol K. Carbonate CO3. Potassium valency 1. Carbonate valency 2. That's why we have to transfer valency of carbonate to potassium K2CO3. This is potassium chloride KCl, this is potassium sulfate K2SO4, and potassium nitrate KNO3, and potassium carbonate K2CO3. You have to remember the formula of these potassium fertilizers. Okay, now how do they appear? Their appearance, I want to show the appearance of each of them. This is potassium chloride, it appears like this, and this is potassium sulfate K2SO4, and this is potassium nitrate, and this is potassium carbonate. These are the salts which are directly used in the field in the proper amount. Okay, now I told you many matter related to chemical fertilizer. There is a problem with chemical fertilizer. Problem is the appropriate amount of chemical fertilizer should be used in the field with the advice of the agricultural expert. Without the advice of agricultural expert, if we use this fertilizer in very huge amount, then that creates the problem. There are many disadvantages of overuse of fertilizer. One thing we have to be very clear that chemical fertilizer are very useful for the good growth of plant, but excess use of chemical fertilizer creates many problems, and these problems are very dangerous. I want to mention some of the problem created because of the excessive use of chemical fertilizer. What are the disadvantages of the overuse of chemical fertilizer? First, we can say that overuse of fertilizer changes the nature of soil. Either the soil becomes too acidic or too alkaline. What it mean? If I want to give you example, if we are using sodium nitrate, lot of sodium nitrate is if used in the field, then look at this, nitrate part will be absorbed by the plant, but sodium is left in the soil. And since sodium is left in the soil, it combines with hydroxide present in the soil water. Hydroxide present in the soil water and forms NaOH. This is an alkali. And the soil becomes now alkaline. And alkaline soil is not suitable for the growth of different plants. Normal pH value of soil lies between 6 to 7.5. If alkalinity increases, then the pH value will rise above 7.5, it may be 8 or 9. And if soil has very huge pH value, then many crops cannot grow over there. And soil is destroyed, soil chemistry is changed. In the same way, I will take another example also, ammonium sulfate. If ammonium sulfate is used in excessive amount, ammonium NH4 sulfate SO4, ammonium valency 1, sulfate valency 2, we have to transfer valency of sulfate to ammonium NH4 whole 2 SO4. Ammonium part will be absorbed by the plant. Sulfate is left behind in the soil. And when sulfate combines with hydrogen, then again hydrogen sulfate, sulfuric acid forms. It increases the acidity. Thus, the soil chemistry can be changed by the overuse of chemical fertilizer, which we must take care. Okay, there is another disadvantage. Overuse of fertilizer pollute water and makes unfit for human consumption and also kills aquatic animals like fish. What is the meaning of this saying? Actually, what I mean to say, if fertilizer is used in the field in excessive amount, then it will flow through water and it reaches to the pond, lake, etc. And growth of algae becomes very high in the pond and lake. They absorb oxygen, dissolved oxygen from water, and there will be lack of oxygen for the aquatic animal like fish. They will die. This changes the ecosystem of that particular place. Okay, these are the major disadvantages of overuse of chemical fertilizer. After all this, now it's time to evaluate ourselves by the help of certain question. I want to put on some question. Look at this question. There is a statement in this question. Chemical fertilizer are manufactured in the factory which are normally used to supply the macronutrients, that is nitrogen, phosphorus or potassium to the plant. Is this correct? And let's take it. Argument number 1. Chemical fertilizers are not easy to handle in the field because they are the voluminous chemical substance. What do you think? This argument is correct or not? Nitrogen is essential for protein synthesis, phosphorus for good growth of root, but potassium enhances the immunity power. What do you think about all these? Statement, argument 1 and argument 2. Statement, argument 1 and argument 2. We have to select one of the option from these 4 options. Now, only statement is correct is written in option number 1. Look at the statement. Chemical fertilizer are manufactured in the factory, which are normally used to supply the macronutrients, that is nitrogen, phosphorus or potassium to the plant. Yes, this is correct. But here, only statement is correct written, maybe argument is also correct. That's why the number 1, we cannot say right also, we cannot say wrong also. Let's take argument number 1 also. Statement and argument 1 are correct. Chemical fertilizer are not easy to handle in the field because they are voluminous chemical substances. Voluminous. Is it correct? Chemical fertilizer are compact and concentrated. They are not voluminous. That's why argument 1 is incorrect. So, option number 2 is incorrect. Now, let's go through argument 2 also. Nitrogen is essential for protein synthesis. Yes. For phosphorus for good growth of root. Yes. But potassium enhances the immunity of plant. This is also correct. Argument 2 is correct. That's why look at this. Statement and argument 2 are correct in third option. This is the correct option. But number 4, statement and both the arguments are correct. This is not correct option. That's why we have to tick number 3. This is the correct option. Okay. Let's go through another question also. Number 1, molecular formula of calcium superphosphate is given here, and another molecular formula of urea is given, and here in question number 3 deficiency is told, in 4 the color of the leaves is told. Now I want to check them one by one. Look at first one. Molecular formula of calcium superphosphate is 3CaS2PO4 whole 2. Is it? No, this is incorrect, because molecular formula of calcium superphosphate is CaS2PO4 whole 2 dot 2CaSO4. So this is incorrect. Now let's go to number 2. Molecular formula of urea is NH2CONH2. Is it correct? Yes, this is correct, because instead of writing NH2CONH2, we can write NH2 whole 2 CO also, and the same can be written as NH2CONH2. Okay, this is correct. Now third one, the deficiency of potassium causes withering of leaves and embryo. Deficiency of potassium causes withering of leaves and embryo. Yes, this argument is correct. Number 4, yellow leaves of plant is the indication of deficiency of potassium. Is it? No, this is the indication of deficiency of nitrogen. That's why this is incorrect. Okay. Now after all this, I expect that the subject matter today I taught is clear to you and it helps you a lot. Now we'll meet in some other class. The time assigned for this class is finished. So I want to stop this class. Thank you.